Hello everyone, I'm again back with a new Capgemini interview preparation video. So in our previous video, we discussed about Capgemini recruitment process and the syllabus 2021. So in our previous video, we discussed about the new recruitment process and the new selection process, you can say, and the syllabus and the recruitment pattern or the question pattern. So and also we have discussed about the tips and tricks on how to crack the Capgemini off campus this year. So if you have not watched this video or the previous video, that means I'll be putting the link of our previous video in the description of this video so that you'll be able to watch the video and know about the selection process, etc. So in this video, we'll be discussing about the Capgemini pseudocode questions and answers 2021. That means the questions that they have asked in the previous year as well as in this year. So we have the questions or the pattern or the sample questions that they have asked in this year. That means recently before 2-3 days in on 19th April 2021. But we cannot provide all the questions directly because it's prohibited. So just watch this video till the end so that you will be able to know about the pattern and the sample questions. So definitely out of 100 questions or the 20 questions, that means out of 100% questions that we are discussing here, 95 to 99% questions will be repeated, or you can say the pattern will be same, like the operator or the number or the digit will be different, but the thing will be same, like the pattern will be same. And one more thing, in our next video, we'll be discussing about the game-based aptitude questions or the MCQ questions as well as the psychometric or the managerial MCQ questions. So we'll be uploading the video after 1 to 2 days. So I'm requesting all of you, if you are new to our YouTube channel, then please subscribe so that you'll be able to get the timely updates regarding the off-campus as well as the regarding interview preparation video, etc. So now let's discuss. So one by one we'll be discussing about. So pseudocode is like you can say the algorithm questions or the syntactically these questions or the pseudocodes are not correct, but logically the question is correct. So it's the easiest question to solve, because sometimes, like if you might have seen before 5 to 6 years, the question were like in C there will be some in C or Java the question were like, if suppose there is a semicolon is missing, it will be throwing an error. So you have to give 100% attention to the questions if you want to solve. But here there is no certain kind of semicolon or indentation, etc., or the curly braces, etc. These things are not here in the pseudocode. So now let's discuss. So one by one we'll be discussing. So the first question is, what would be the output of the following pseudocode? So that 3 integers we have taken, a, b and c. We are setting, or you can say assigning the values to the variable or the 3 different variable. A equal to 8, b equal to 4 and c equal to 31. So 3 variables are there. Then we are doing a simple bitwise OR operator. So this one is the bitwise OR operator. A, bitwise OR operator C, then again bitwise OR operator A. So now let's understand the solution. So if you want to solve this question by yourself, you can pause this video, try to solve this question. So after that, just watch the solution or watch this video or our explanation. Then you'll be able to know whether your solution is correct or not, or whether our solution is correct or not. So sometimes we are the simple human being, so we are executing the codes or trying to solve by ourselves, but sometimes due to some issues or mistakes, the answer will be maybe different from the actual one. So please try to rectify that. So now let's discuss about the first question. So first of all, what it does, the bitwise operator compares the bits. So for the AND operator, bitwise AND operator is like this, 2 1, and for the OR it is simply like this. So it will simply compare the bitwise operator, simply compare the bits. So now let's understand in diff, or let me explain all these operations. So what is the value of A equal to 8? So if you find the binary one, so what will be the binary value of A? So it will be simply 130. You can find the binary one. I am not wasting my time. I know the binary value of 8 equal to 1000. Then what is the binary value of B? B, no need to find it, because here if you see carefully, they have not asked for the B, so I am not wasting my time in finding the binary value or the bit value of B equal to 4. So now C is there, so I need to find the value of C. So the value of C will be 4, sorry, just 1 second. Yeah, so the value of B will C will be 1 triple 1 triple 1 will be there, 1 2 3 4 5. So yeah, so now what I need to do, simply I need to check the bitwise operator. So this is the C and this is the B. So most of the time I have seen that the candidates, what simply they do, so if you see carefully here, there are 5 digits, and for the A it is there are 4 digits. So if you want to add, so simply candidates will be doing like 1 0 0 0 at the end, they will simply put the 0. So we cannot do this, because if you are putting another 0 to the right side, the value of this one, or the decimal value of, so suppose previously it was 0 1 triple 0, if you are putting 1 0 extra, so that will be able to add or compare with this one, the upper one. So people will be doing adding 1 0 extra. So what will happen, the value or the decimal value, sorry, the actual value of 1 triple 4 zeros will be simply become 16. So what we can do, we need to simply put here 0, put 0 here. So you might have seen, if I want to add 10 and 5, what do you do? 10 plus 5 we put at the first part. So the second one, the second digit will be 0. So what will happen? 10 plus 5 equal to 15. So like this, same thing we need to do here. So whenever we are comparing with this one, so simply check 0 and put this one 1 3 zeros. So bitwise operator will check the operators or the values one by one. So in case of bitwise operator or the simple OR operator does, so out of 2, if at least one is true or one is 1, then simply it will return you 1. So here 1 and 0 1, and 1 and 0 1, 1 and 0 and 1, and 1 and 1 is also 1. So and 1 0 1, so it returned me the this one, this value. That means what was the 51 this one 31 was the actual one. And again we are doing the same kind of thing. That means again we are adding or comparing with the value of A, so it will be simply returning us the same thing again. So what will be the value of C? Simply 31. If we find the decimal value of this binary value, so the 31 it returned. Then again we are doing the modular operator, so it will be returning the remainder of this thing. So B modular operator 4. So previously B was 4, so 4 mod 4, so it will be simply returning 0. That means C equal to 31, B equal to 0. So now we are printing A plus B plus C. So previously what was the value of A? Simply 8. We have not changed anything with this A. Then B equal to 0, because the modulus operator, and C equal to 31. By this operation we got C equal to 31. So 8 plus 31 plus 0 equal to 39. So simply it will return us 39. So it's a simple question. So I was not able to explain it to you more specifically, because I know most of the non-IT candidates will be watching, so I tried to explain it to you more deeply or specifically, but I don't know whether you are able to understand. So if you are not able to understand, just go back to the beginning and watch this video again, so that you will be able to know this part of the solution. So it was a easy question. So now let's move to the second question. So what will be the given which one of the given options can be inserted at the this part, replace here, so that the below function will perform the same task as before. So here this is the code. So you need to replace this one with something, so that the functionality or the output will be same. Just we need to change the syntax without harming the output. So what will be the syntax? So this is the negation operator. So what does the negation operator do? Simply it will change the magnitude, or you can say the value of the uh, assigned thing, or you can say the value assigned to that variable. So negation of b, what will simply return? Minus b. So suppose previously b value was 10, then negation of b will be minus 10. So what we can write here? A minus b plus 1. So simply we can write a minus b plus 1, so that it will be returning as the a minus b plus 1 without changing the output or without changing the functionality. So it was a easy question, so I will not repeat this one again. So now let's move to the third question. So what will be the output of the following code if n equal to 4? So again pseudocode question. So this is the function do math integer n. So inside this function we are passing the argument. So what is the value of argument here, or what is the value of the thing we are passing here? N equal to 4. We are passing 4 inside this do math function. So begin, that means we are beginning the function or calling the or executing the function. So if n greater than 1, so here what is the value of n? 4. 4 is greater than equal to 1. Yes, 4 is greater than equal to 1. Then what it will do? Return n plus do math n minus 1. So what will return us? At the very beginning it will return 4 plus do math n minus 1. So we are passing, suppose this is the function, we are passing n minus 1. 4 minus 1 equal to 3. So that means here we are calling this do math function again, and this time we are passing the value equal to 3 inside this do math function. So again it will execute this part. Begin, if n greater than 1, return, it will again return us 3 plus f or the function do math of n minus 1. So this time what will be the argument we are passing inside this do math function? F of 2. So like this it will be going up to n equal to 0. So when n equal to 0, if n greater than equal to 1, 0 is greater than equal to 1, yes or no? It's false. It will not insert or enter into this part. It will simply execute or come up outside the if block, else return n. So it will return 0. At the end, starting from 4, 3, 2, 1 and 0, we need to simply add all these things to get the output. So 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. So what will be the output? If you see here, what will be the output? 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 equal to 10. So simply it will be putting or printing 10. So this was a easy question, but a little bit tricky one. So if you know what is the functionality of the function, how the function works, then definitely you will be able to solve this kind of questions. They are asking in the pseudocode questions, and this kind of questions are asked by the Amazon or Accenture or this Capgemini or Cognizant. This is a easy question one, or the basics you must have clear. So now let's move to the fourth question. So what would be the output of the following pseudocode? So there are three integers we are taking, I, j and k. Set k equal to 10. We are simply setting the value of k equal to 10. For each I from 1 to 10, we are assigning, or you can say doing the for loop. Inside the for loop, the I value was 1 to 10. So here each j from value 1 to 1, that means only one time the for loop will be executed, because 1 to 1, that means we are not incrementing the value of I. Only one iteration will be done or happening. So from j I to 2. So what is the value of I here? 1. So 1 to 2 we need to execute, or you can say the value of j equal to 1 to 2. That means 2 times the iteration will be happening for this inner for loop. So inside this inner for loop, k equal to 1, k plus 1. So here k plus 1. What is the value of k here? At the very beginning k value was 10. Plus 1. So 10 plus 1 equal to 11 we are assigning. Then again we are going back, because 2 times the iteration will be happening for I equal to 1 and I equal to 2. Because starting from 1 to 2 we are doing the iteration. So previously k value was 11, and again we will be adding 1 to to this k. So what will be the final output or final result? 12. So again, once the inner for loop is done, or the operation or the iteration is done, then it will return to the first for loop, or you can say the outer for loop. So if you see here carefully, I value is starting from 1 to 1. That means next time the iteration will not be happening here. Only one time the iteration will happen. So what is the final value of k? Here we need to print outside the inner for loop. So the print k. So what is the k value? 12. So simply 12 will be the output. So it is a easy question. You can do, you'll be able to do this by yourself without facing any issues, I guess. So now let's discuss what would be the output of the following pseudocode. Integer a and b are there. Set a equal to 10. We are setting or assigning a equal to 10, b equal to a plus plus plus, then plus plus a. So a plus plus is the post increment operator. So I don't know whether you know about the increment and decrement operator. So let me recall you again. So if a equal to 10 and if we are taking a plus plus, what will be happening? So suppose this is the b equal to a plus plus, a value equal to 10. So in case of post, this is the post increment operator. So in case of post increment operator, it will simply first assign the value b value to the 10, or value b will be 10, then it will do the increment. That means the next time, suppose we are taking the value of a or printing the value of a, for the next time the value of a will be 11. So in case of post a pre-increment operator plus plus a, so here first of all the increment will be happening, then assignment will be done. So what will be the value of b? Here b equal to 11. Suppose a equal to 10, then in case of pre-increment operator, the value of b will be 11 as well as the value of a will be 11. But in case of post increment operator, first the assignment will be done. That means the value will be assigned to b first, then the increment will be happening in case of post increment operator. So this is the difference between the post increment and the pre-increment operator. It's a easy one, you will be able to understand. So here there are 3 plus signs. So what will be happening? Just let me do the segmentation. So here a plus plus and 1 plus operator is there, then again plus plus 1. That means for the first case we are doing the post increment operation, then for the second case we are doing the pre-increment operation. So what will be the output here? So as we discussed earlier, for in the case of the pre-increment operator, so the value of a will be assigned to the variable first. That means the assignment task will be done at the very beginning. That means the value of b equal to 10. Then we are doing the increment, that means a plus plus 10 plus 1, that means 11. And again then this is the plus operator, we are adding these two things or the two values, then plus plus 1. So previously it was 11. As we discussed earlier, in case of pre-increment operator, the increment will be done. So that means previously it was 11 and plus 1, that means 12. So 10 plus 12, so what will be happening? 22. That means for this one it will be 10, for this one it will be 12. So what will be the final result? 22. So most of the cases I have seen that people do this one 11 plus 12, it will be 23. No, it will be only 22. So this was the solution. So I hope you all are able to understand this. So if you are not able to understand this, again watch the solution, try to understand. If still you are not able to understand, just let us know in the comment section below. So now let's move to the next question. So what would be the output of the following pseudocode? So there are two strings. So the string 1 is the helpful techniques and string 2 is the helpful techniques. Same thing we have assigned to the both of the strings, but it is the lower case and this is the uppercase. So if s1 equal to s2, simply print strings are equal. Otherwise you need to print the strings are not equal. So what will be happening? What does this equal operator does in case of string? So if you write, So simply, whenever we are creating or taking a variable in the stack, or you can say the inside the memory, it will be taking some place to store the value of the variable, or it needs the allocation. So the what will be the we call it as the reference. So suppose the reference of these helpful techniques or the s1 string is 1001, suppose, then what do you think? The value are same, so what will be the reference for this s2? It will be same as of the s1, or it will be different? So just take 2 to 3 seconds to think. So let me tell you, the value of the or the reference for this s2 will be different, because the strings are case sensitive. So we have written these helpful techniques in the uppercase. That means the both the values are not same. So it will take, like, so suppose we are taking this one 1002. So this is the reference for s1, this is the reference for s2. So if s1 equal to s2, so equal to operator simply checks the reference or the reference value or the allocation for this s1 and s2. So in case of s1 dot equals s2, it checks the value inside this thing. But equals operator or the double equal to operator checks the reference. Both are different. s1 dot equals and the equal to operator checks the difference. So what will be the output? Strings are not equal. So this one, because it is case sensitive. So if we are assigning the for s1, if suppose it is helpful techniques, for s2 it is helpful techniques, but this time it is, if it is lower case, that means s1 equal to s2, both are same, then the reference will be same, because both are same. So it will be stored in this, at this location only, if it is a both the things are in written in the lower case. So it was a easy question. So now let's move to the next question. So what would be the output of the following pseudocode? Again, this is the array. So integer j and m, we are taking two integers. Set m equal to 0, we are assigning integer 4 there. That means there are 4 elements inside this array. So inside the array name is a. So 1154. So for each j from m to m plus 1. So this is the for loop, we are executing it. So m equal to 0 previously, that means 0 to m plus 1, that means 0 plus 1 1. So that means starting from 0 to 1 we need to print. So here if j is greater than 0, so at the very beginning j value was 0. So what is the value of j here? So j equal to 0, that means j greater than 0. No, 0 is not greater than 0, 0 is equal to 0. So it will jump to the else part, a of 0 equal to 0. That means we are doing the assignment. That means 0 we are assigning a of 0. Then again it will go to the for loop, because here 2 times we are doing the iteration starting from 0 to 1. So one iteration is done. Then second time m1. So this time it is 1. So 1 is greater than 0. Yes, it is greater than 0. 1 is greater than 0. Then it will go to the inside this if statement, a of j, that means a of 1. That means a of 1 is 1. Then equal to a of j minus 1. So j was 1, 1 minus 1, 0. That means a of 0 equal to 0 here. That this is the new value. 0 plus 2. That means we are assigning the a of j. That means a of 1 equal to 1 minus 1, that means a of 0 1 2, sorry, 0 plus 2, that means 2. We're assigning a of 1 equal to 2. So this is the new value. Then else part, it will not go to the else part. So then at the end we are printing a of 0 minus a of 1. So what is the updated value of a of 0? 0, and a of 1 is the 2, and rest of the things are same, 5 and 4. So we are simply doing the subtraction here. So 0 minus 2 equal to minus 2. Simply it will be printing minus 2. 0 minus 2 equal to minus 2. So this will be the output or the result. So now let's move to the next question. So what would be the output of the following pseudocode? So integer I sum equal to 0 if I is greater than 0. So at the very beginning it will be taking the garbage value, because here we have not assigned anything to the I. So it is 0. So if 0 is greater than 0, no, 0 is not greater than 0. So that means it will not enter into this part. Then else, for each I from 1 to 10, that means we are assigning the value of I equal to 1 to 10. That means 10 times the iteration will be happening, sum equal to sum plus I. So at the very beginning, what was the value of sum? It was simply 0. So 0 plus I. So at this time, inside this for loop, so this is the for loop, total for loop, this is. So inside this for loop, so what is the value of I? So I equal to 1 this time. So 0 plus 1 equal to 1. Then if I equal to 5. So this time what is the value of I? I equal to 1 here. So I is not equal to 1. That means it will go to the else part. So if you see carefully, here there is no else part. So it will not execute anything. So again it will jump here. That means for loop, because 10 times iteration will be happening. So this time I equal to 2. So this time I equal to 2. Again here it will check like some previously it was sum was 1, and this time I value equal to 2. So 1 plus 2, 3. It will take 3. Then if I equal to 5. So I equal to 5, that means 2 is not equal to 5, else it will go to the else part, again 3. So this thing will be happening until 5. So when I equal to 5, sum equal to previously what was the value of sum, whatever the value of sum was, it will simply add to 5, because this time I value equal to 5. So if I equal to 5, then break. This time it will enter to this if part. So here what will be happening, it will do the break. So whenever we use to the break to our bicycle, or you can say to our bike or car, what happens? It stops. The same thing happens for this will be happening for this case, or same thing happens to the for loop or while loop. Whenever we encounter the break statement or break keyword, simply the execution will be stopped and it will return to the top execution, or you can say the top condition. So if it was the if we have written continue instead of break, what will be happening? It will simply execute, or you can say the skip the current execution. But in case of break, it will simply do the permanent break to the current execution. So it will be simply adding 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5 up to 5 iteration. It will be adding. After 5 iteration, nothing will be happening. If it here, if you see carefully, the value of I was starting from 1 to 10, but this time I equal to 5, but there is no else part. So that means it will not jump to the any other conditional statement. So simply it will be printing from iteration I to iteration 5. So it was a easy question one. The break statement plays a vital role when we want to execute the for loop or while condition or while statement. So now let's move to the next question. So what will be the output of the following pseudocode for a equal to 5 and b equal to 2? So two variables or the arguments we are passing into this function. So integer 1, integer a and integer b. Two integer, or you can say the arguments are there if a greater than b. So here b greater than a. So here b value is 2, b greater than a, that means 2 greater than 5. No, 2 is not greater than 5. So that means it will not enter into this part. Forget about this end part, because in case of end, if one condition, or you can say one value is 0, simply it will return 0. No need to check other things. It will be saving our time. So it will not enter into this if statement. Simply it will jump to the else part, return b minus a. So what is the value of b? 2. b minus a, that means 2 minus 5. Simply it will be printing, it will be returning 2 minus 5 equal to minus 3. So it will be simply returning minus 3. So here we are just ending the function. Nothing is to be executed here, just simply end if and return. These things will not be working. So simply it will be returning minus 3. So it was a easy question. So within 5 to 8 seconds, one will be able to answer this question. So if you are not able to understand, just do the same thing, go back and watch this the solution again. So now let's move to the next question. So what would be the output of the following pseudocode? So there are two strings are there, S1 and S2. We are setting or assigning the value to S1 equal to helpful techniques again. Then we are executing the for loop each I from 0 to S1 dot length. So what we are doing here, so we are checking the length of the string. So suppose the S1 value was like 10 or 5. Suppose if S1 equal to 10, then this for loop will be executed starting from I equal to 0 to 10. That means 10 times it will be executing if the length of the S1 equal to 10. Then we are passing this if statement or if condition here. If S1 I, that means inside this bracket will be passing the value of I, that means I of S1 of 0, S1 of 1, S1 of 2. So that means S1 of 0 means H, S1 of 1 equal to E. Like this it will be going. So what will be the for the in case of array and in case of string? So the assignment happens starting from 0 to from 0 itself, not 1. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. So S1 of I equal to U. So this was the U. So we are just simply doing the assignment or the replacing U with A. So wherever U is there inside this string, we are simply trying to replace with A. This is the task we are doing. So what will be the output? What do you think? It will be changing the value for of this U, or it will be throwing an error or whatever. Just try to understand and come up with solution. So simply it will be throwing an error. Why? Because the string is immutable. That means we cannot change the value of string for the things or for these values. So the assignment operation is not possible in case of this string. So these are the A, B, C and D. So we cannot do the assignment for the you can say for the string. So it is not possible for the strings. The assignment operation is not possible for the strings because the immutability characteristics of the strings. It is not possible. So now let's move to the next question. So what will be the output of the following pseudocode? So this is the set A, that means we are assigning the value to the like A equal to 8, then B equal to 4 and C equal to 31. So again here we are doing the assignment bitwise AND operator we are trying to do. So in the previous question, at the first question we discussed about this thing. So again we are taking the same example or you can say question. So the value of A equal to 1, 4 zeros, and for the value of C it is 5 1. So what will be happening in case of AND bitwise operator if at least one value is 0? So now let me explain it to you. So here the value of C equal to 5 ones, and for the value of A will be this one. Previously we discussed about this thing, but this time it is for the bitwise AND operator. So here it is 0. So in case of bitwise AND operator, simply it will be checking like 1 and 0 0, because in case of bitwise AND operator, if at least 1 is false, then simply it will be throwing false. If both the things or n number of things are true, then only it will be throwing us the true result. So 1 and 0 0, 1 and 0 0, 1 and 1 equal to 1, 1 and 0 equal to 0. So it will return the value of A here, that means 8. Then AND operator, again bitwise operator we are doing. Then again we are passing the value of 1, that A, that means again we are passing the value of 8, this thing again. So it will be returning us 8 only. And B modulus operator 4, that means B value was 4, 4 more 4, That means modulus operator, it will be returning as the remainder itself. So it will be returning 0, and here we are printing a plus b plus c. So previously a value was 8, for b it was 0, we found 0, and for c it will be printing 8. So 8 plus 8 equal to 16. It will be simply printing 8 plus 8 equal to 16. It will be printing. So this is all about this solution. So now let's move to the next question or next problem. So now let's discuss about the second question. So the consider an array of the float. Calculate the difference between the address of the first and the third element, assuming that the float occupies the 4 bytes of the memory. So now let's discuss the solution. So here suppose the array, so we don't know about the final length or the total length, but our concern is to know about the distance or the difference between the first and the third element address. So it takes the 4 bytes. So suppose the first address is at the 1000. So the first address, or you can say first element, will be taking starting from 1000 to 1003. Then the second element will be taking 1004 to 1007, and the third will be taking 1008 to 1011. So what is the total distance starting from 1011 minus 1003? So total distance will be 8. So it's a easy question. So they have already provided you about the space or the size taken by the float data type, so no need to worry about that. So now let's move to the next question. So what is the second part of the of a node in a linked list that contains the address of the next node called it's a multiple answer choice question. So that means the answer may be more than one. There will be more than one correct answer for this question. So yeah, I forgot to remove this one. So yeah, so if you know about the linked list concept, suppose this is a linked list. So there are two parts in the simple linked list. So this carries the value, and this one carries the address of the next linked list. So what does it takes? The tail. The second part is called as the tail or the link, and the first one is called as the data or the head node. So this is all about this question. So now let's move to the next question. So what would be the output of the following pseudocode? So integer, there are 4 different integers I, j, k and n. Set j equal to 1, we are assigning j equal to 1 and k equal to 1 for each I from 1 to 5. Print k. So we are printing k inside this for loop. So here what was the value of k? 1. Then we are assigning j equal to j plus 1. So j value was 1 and 1 plus 1, that means 2. Then we are assigning k equal to k plus j. So previously or the initially what was the value of k? 1 it was. And what is the updated value of j here? 1 plus 1, that means 2. So here 1 plus 2. So what will be the updated value of k? 3. So again it will go to the for loop. Then again for the second iteration it will be printing the k value, that means the 3. So likewise it will be printing 1, 3, 6, 10 and 15. So this is the final result. So I am not going into deep, that means for each iteration I am not explaining, because already we have crossed minimum 35 minutes. So I am not taking more time, so you can solve it by yourself. So now let's move to the next question. So what would be the output of the following pseudocode if x equal to 4 and y equal to 5? So here we are passing the values inside the function r. So here we are passing 4 and 5. So if x greater than 0, that means 4 greater than 0, yes, it will simply come to this part. Then return x plus y, that means 4 plus 5, 9, plus here we are doing the recursive function. We are again calling this function x minus 2. So here we are passing x minus 2, that means 4 minus 2, 2, and y plus 2. So previously y was 5, 5 plus 2 equal to 7. We are again calling and we are this time passing 2 and 7. So return x plus 2. So we already have returned 9, that means 4 plus 5. Then again we are returning x plus y. So this time what is the value of x? 2. So 2 plus y 7, that means again we are returning 9 plus function, again we are calling this time x minus 2, that means 2 minus 2 0, and y plus 2. So previously y value was 7 and this time we are passing 0 and 9. So again it will execute this one because we are calling this function, this one, and it will enter to the check for the if statement. If x greater than 0, 0 is not greater than 0, so it will simply come outside the if condition. There is no else part, so it will not print anything. So we've already returned 9 plus 9, it will simply print 18. So most of the candidates might be thinking that this time also it will be adding 18 plus 9 27. No, it will not. If it is not entering into this if statement, why should it return something? So it is not entering into this if statement, then it will not be printing anything or returning anything. So 9 plus 9 equal to 18. So now let's move to the next question. So what would be the output of the following pseudocode? So integer a equal to 5, b equal to 4, c equal to 3. So it's a easy question. Every time the value will be changing, you need to check for the updated value. So a equal to b plus c. So b equal to 4, c equal to 3. So like this, a equal to 7, then again c equal to a minus b. So what is the updated value of c? Here, a here 7. 7 minus b, b equal to 4. So it will be printing simply 3. Then c equal to c plus a. So what is the updated value of c here? 3. So it will be taking 3 plus updated value of c. A. So it will be taking 7. So like this it will be updating, and at the end it will be printing a comma b comma c. We need to print the 3 values or the value stored in this ABC variables. So this is an easy question, you can solve by yourself, no issues. So the final output or the result will be 7 plus 16 plus 12. So now let's move to the next question. So what would be the output of the following pseudocode? So integer a, b, c, d, b equal to 18, c equal to 12, a equal to b minus c. So b value equal to a equal to 18 minus 12, that means 6. For c from 1 to a minus 1. So what is the updated value of a here? 6. 6 minus 1, that means 5. So we need to iterate or use this for loop starting from 1 to 5. That means 5 times the iteration will be happening, and for 5 times the value will be changing for these things. And at the end, whatever you are returning, simply add these things. And you need to print a comma b comma c. So it's a easy question, but it is a time taking one. If you are getting this kind of question, try to ignore, or you can say try to keep this type of question at the end, because it is a time taking one. 5 times you need to iterate, and every time there are 3 different things you need to do, and 4, then again we need to print, need to calculate these things, summation you need to find. So it's a time taking one, minimum of 2.5 minutes you need to spend in order to solve this question. So if you have time, then solve this one, otherwise you can keep this at the end. So what will be the following operation? Which of the following operation is not possible on a string? So indexing, searching, assignment, or all of these, which one is not possible? So for the, as we discussed earlier, the value of index we cannot change. Once it is assigned, it's assigned. We cannot change the value inside the string. So we cannot do the assignment operation. You can do the indexing, like a of find a of 0, a of 3, a of 4, or string. That means s of 0, s of 1, s of 5, 6 we can find, but we cannot do the assignment operator. Previously, in our previous question, we discussed about the one of the assignment question for the helpful techniques, where we need to replace by a. So we cannot do the assignment operation. So now let's move to the next question. So what will be the binary tree nodes with no successor? What will be the output, or you can say what will be the result? So the node without having any child node is called as the terminal node or the leaf node. So in the tree, or you can see, you might have seen, because it's a natural thing. So branches have many leaves, but if you see, uh, there is nothing from the leaves. That means this is the ultimate, or you can say the final one. So in case of this tree concept also, binary tree concept also, the terminal node is the last one. No successor, that means no child thing or the child node will be there. That means the leaf node, it is the last node, or you can say. So it is called as the terminal node or the leaf node. So what would be the output of the following pseudocode? Guess n, we are guessing n. That means when it is asking for the user input, suppose n equal to 10 we are taking, sum equal to sum 0 we are initializing, then for I from 2 to n, where I equal to I plus 2, we are simply doing the increment of I by 2, then sum equal to sum plus I. So we are simply adding the I every time, or appending, or you can say the we are adding the I. So and for, and at the end we are returning or printing sum. So what will be the output, or what will be printing what will be the output of this pseudocode or program? So it will be simply printing the sum of the even numbers starting from 2 to n. So because here we are taking I from 2 to n, and we are incrementing I plus 2. So if it is 1, or the initial value of I equal to 1, then it will be printing the odd numbers. If as it is 2, or 0, if it is 0, then also it will be printing the sum of the even numbers. So it's a easy question. So now let's move to the last question. So which of the following is not a type of the linked list? It's a very easy question. Simple linked list, circular linked list, double-ended linked list, or the double linked list. So which one is the correct answer? Double-ended linked list. It is not there in C or Java or Python, wherever, because in the linked list only simple linked list, that means the this one, this kind of thing. Then circular linked list, this kind of thing, and double linked list is the, it will be taking the previous and the previous address. This one is the value, and the next address it will be taking three different parameters will be taking. This is called as the double linked list. But double ended linked list is not there, only the double linked list is there. So this is all about the essential pseudocode questions. So in the next video we'll be discussing about the behavioral question and the game based MCQ questions. So if you have any doubt regarding this question, or you can say this video, you can comment your doubts, because it is not possible to explain each and every question for 5 to 10 minutes, because it's a time taking process. If you are taking more time, then people, those who solution, they will simply get bored. So we tried our best to explain all these things. So if you have any doubts, please let us know in the comment section below, so that we'll be able to help you as soon as possible. So thank you for watching, and all the best for your job search.